Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live here. Good evening. Sorry, I'm not a bit feeling well, but yes, we are still live tonight. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Salamat sa pagiging on time. Thank you so much for being here. Teka muna ha. Anuhin muna natin. Ayan. Okay, so intay-intay lang tayo ng konti. Um, please don't forget to like and share our live stream. Thank you so much. Ayan, live po tayo. Okay, so our topic for today will be about functions. So I hope that if you have any topic that you would like to discuss, please do share it in our comment section, and we will. I'll try to. I'll try to give that uh, discussion as well. Ayan. Teka po parang uh, I feel like I'm so bright. Ayan po. Baka, eto. It will help. Ayan. Better. I guess it's better that way. All right. So, our topic will be about function, and we will try to make sure that we will cover all the necessary questions on functions as well. I mean, topics under functions. So let's start with okay. So it is about functions. So when we talk about function, I guess you are familiar with functions when you have something that provides an input and an output. It's like a machine where you have a machine and you put something and it functions as how it is, and then you will get an output. So let's say, for example, in a function, your input is your x, and then it goes through the function, and then the output will be, let's say, you place the f of x will be equal to 2x, let's say, for example. So that will be your output. So that is what we meant by function. It provides a rule on how to map an input to an output. So that is your function. Let's just go through the different functions that we had learned before. So the first thing that we have to understand is what is a function. So a function is when you input a value of x and you'll get an output, which is the function of your x, or technically your y. So let's say the first view that we have is understanding functions. So that will be, let's say, f of 2 equals 3x minus 5. F of x equals 3x minus 5. So if x is 2, this will be 6 minus 5, which is 1. So that is your function. Now, the second one that you have will be inverse of a function. So, when we talk about inverse of function, that means that you take its um, inverse. You take its if x was y and y was x. That's what we meant by inverse. So, before we go through those different function, hi Betrex. Hello. Good evening, Betrex. Okay, so before we go to inverse, let's stick with the first function, understanding your function, meaning substituting the value or your input. So let's say, for example, you have, let's say f of x is equal to, mm, I'll find a question for you. Let's say f of x is equal to x squared plus 2, and you are asked what is f of 3, and if you have f negative 5. So let's say f negative 5 as well. So function 5. Oh, what do you mean by 5? Sorry. So what you need to do is substitute your x with 3. That's 3 squared plus 2. So that's 9 plus 2. That's 11. It's a square. And another example that you have, let's say f is negative 5. So that will be negative 5 squared plus 2. Negative 5 squared is 25 plus 2. That will be 27. Okay, so that is what we meant by, sorry, medyo, medyo, I'm not feeling well. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, so that is your substitution or um, having a function of a certain value of your input x. So let's say, for example, let's go back. Let's say you're given f of x equals x plus 1, and then you're asked what is f, what's the function if x was x minus 1. So if it's x minus 1, all you have to do is substitute your x with x minus 1. So that will be x minus 1, which is your x, plus 1. So that will be x minus 1 plus 1, which is x. So if x is x minus 1, you'll get x as, you have f of x as x. Now, if you have your f, which wherein your x is x squared, then all you need to do is substitute x with x squared plus 1. So that's x squared plus 1. Okay, so that is how you do your function. All right, let's move to inverse. This is number 2. So what if you have your inverse function? Okay, so if you have an inverse function, that means that uh, your x will be your y and your y will be your x. That is what we meant by inverse. So a function takes an and input and produce an output. So the inverse will be the opposite. It describes how you go backwards. So your output will be your input and your input will be your output. So it's a backward, it's a, that's why it's called an inverse. So it's like a backward um, process. Instead of putting in an x, you will have your y as your x. So for example, your f of x is x minus x plus 5. So therefore, so that means that, hello ma'am, hi Ambery. That means that since it is an inverse, all the operations will be opposite. Okay, so here if you get an inverse of this, inverse of that, that will be x minus 5. Okay, so since it's supposedly it was added to 5, now it will be minus. So it will be x minus 5. Okay, wait. All right, so that's your inverse. So if you have 3x minus 1, so 3 is being multiplied to x, and then it's subtracted to 1. So the inverse for this will be, it will be added to 1 and then divided by 3. So how do we do that? How do we do inverse? Actually, I'm just looking at it. But how do we do that algebraically? How do we do that in a solution way? So all you need to do is change this f of x to y equals 3x minus 1, and then make x your subject. Okay, make x your subject. So you transfer 1 to the other side. That's y plus 1 equals 3x, and then divide it by 3. That will be y plus 1 over 3 equals x. And then when you write it down, make your x your y and y your x. So your x will be your function, and this one will be x. Okay, let's do another example for inverse. All right, so let's say, for example, you have f of x, square root of x plus 3. Okay, so what you need, substitute that as y. Make x your subject. So transfer 3, that will be y minus 3 equals square root of x. Transfer square root, that will be y minus 3 square equals your x. So therefore, the inverse of your function will be x minus 3 squared. All you need to do is change x to y and y to x. That's what you need to do. All right. Moving on. Oh my, I have a golden voice. Thank you for our 6 viewers tonight. Let's say you have f of x equals 1 over x. So if you have f of x equals 1 over x, all you need to do again is change it to y, 1 over x, and make x your subject. So this will be x equals 1 over y. Hence, the inverse of this function will be 1 over x. It will be the same. So why is this the same? If a function is the same as its inverse, it is known as a self-inverse. So this, for example, is what we call a self-inverse function. Also the same with f of x equals 1 minus x. That's a self-inverse function. Okay. Cool. All right, let's try another one on inverse. Let's say you have f of x equals x over 5 plus 1. So the same thing. And then you make x the subject of your equation. So that will be y minus 1 equals x over 5. And then transfer 5, that will be y minus 1 bracket times 5. That's your x. So therefore, your inverse function will be equal to 5. And then just need to change this to x. That will be x minus 1. That's your answer. Okay. So that is how you do your function. Now, the next one that you have is composite function. So, what is a composite function? A composite function is a function that is made up of another function, or it is being the input is a function into another function. So that is a composite function. I'll just give you one example, and then we will move to the next one. So, for example, okay, please bear with me. Um, let's say, okay, so number 3 is your composite function. Okay, so let's say your f of x is 3x plus 1, and your g of x is x squared. So if you are f of g of x, that means that it is composed of g of x. Your f is composed of g of x. So that will be, first is you write your f, and then you substitute your x with g of x. So that will be 3 times x squared, because that's g of x plus 1. So your new composite function is 3x squared plus 1. So if you are asked what is f of g of x, not g of x, if this was 2, all right? So if that was 2, all you need to do is substitute your x with 2, because this is already composed of. So that's 3, 2 squared plus 1. So that will be 3 times 4 plus 1. So 3 times 4 will be 12 plus 1. That will be 13. Okay, cool. Questions so far? All right. The other way of doing this as well, even if you don't do this part here, let's say, for example, you're given f of g of 5. So what you need to do is substitute g with 5. So um, that will be x squared. So that means 5 squared is 25, right? So that's f 25, because f of g of 5 is 20. G of 5 is 25. And then you substitute 3 times 25 plus 1, and then you will 3 times 25, that will be 75 plus 1, 76. So the answer will be 76. That's the easiest way that you can do, even if you don't solve a function of a function and then you substitute. You just need to substitute it right away. All right. Oh my goodness. I have a golden voice tonight. Okay, the fourth one, which I think this will be very familiar with all of you. This is what we call the piecewise. The fourth one is your piecewise. Piecewise. Is your okay? Is you okay, ma'am? Hello, Maha Blanca. I have been sneezing and coughing since morning. Okay, so a piecewise function. Sometimes functions are defined in pieces. Okay, and with the different functions for different range of values. So, for example, you have f of x equals, and then you have 5. We have 5 plus 4x minus x squared, and then you have 0. So this is, let's say, for x, this one is for x greater than or equal to 0. This one will be x is greater than equal to 0 or greater than equal to 5, and this will be x greater than equal to 5. So when you graph this, you will have your graph here would be from 0 to 5, right? So your graph here will be from, that's 5, because that's a y. And then you also have 5 on your x because it's 0 to 5. So when x is equal to 0 or less than 0, your y is a 5. Okay, when x is less than or equal to 0, your y is a 5. So here, you will have a straight line towards your 5. All right, that will be your value. Now, if you have this in terms of 0x to 5, so you just need to substitute x. When x is 1, what is the value? When x is 2, what is the value? When x is 3, what is the value? And so on and so forth. Now, this one will have its peak at 2. That's a 2. When x is 2, y will be 9. And then when you go to 3, it will go down. Okay? And then until it reaches when x is greater than 0, greater than 5, your y is 0. So it would look like this. So since the function here that you have is 5 plus 4x minus 1, you can actually know that this has a curve that's such as this. All right? Sorry. That should be here. So that is your piecewise. That means that you are trying to identify piece by piece if the function, if x is within this value, on this value or another value. So I'll give you another example on piecewise. So let's say you have f of x equals x squared 1, 3 minus x. Here is x is 0 to 1. I think I have to move it a little bit out. And then you have 1 to 2. By the way, everything of this will be given to you, and all you have to do is sketch and solve. So let's start with, since the value of x is from 0 to 3, if you would notice, it's from 0 here until 3. So we will focus on the positive side. We have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So when x is 0, 0 square is 0, 1 square is 1, 2 square, 1 square is 1. Sorry, why am I on 2? So that means that this will be, because it's a square, that's a curve, right? So here, this will be your 1, right? Okay, so that will be 1. Then you move to the next, so that's the 1. Then you move to the next. That is 1 all throughout. From 1 to 2, your function is equal to 1. So that will be a straight line until 2. Okay, that's 1 and then 2. Then the third one is 3 minus x is x greater than 2 or less than 3. So if you substitute this with 2, your x, that will give you a 1, which is this one, which is that one, all right? If you substitute the x with 3, that will give you a 0. So that will be a straight line for the reason it's 3 minus x. Ma'am, how do you read 5? Oh, x is greater than 5. X is greater than 5. And, oh, that cannot be. A greater than 7. X is greater than 5 or greater than 7. That's what it means. If that is the case, but how can it be in between? Not in between, but on opposite direction. X. So if you would look at that in a number line, so x greater than 5 and greater than 7. If this is your number line, that's your 5, that's your 7. X is greater than or equal to 5, so it's going that way. And X is greater than or equal to 7, so it's on this way. So hence, this is the only part wherein it's common. So in between, if you wanted it between 5 and 7, it should be X greater than equal to 5 and less than or equal to 7, so that it will be between. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. So that is how your piecewise is. Last example. I'll give you one last example. Let's say you are given, f of x equals 4x squared and 12 minus 4x, x less than negative 2, x greater than equal to negative 2 or less than or equal to 2, and x greater than 2. So if you draw this graph, so you have negative 2 and you also have 2 on the other side. So if you are in form, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Because that's a 4. So if x is less than negative 2, y value is 4. So all throughout, that will be a straight line until it reaches 2. However, between negative 2 and 2, it is an x squared. So when this negative 2 squared is a 4, that's correct. Negative 1 square is a 1, so that will be here. 0 square is 0, that's a 1, and then you have a 4. So it's a curve, okay? And then you have 12 minus 4x. So you just need to substitute x with probably 3. 3, that's 4 times 3 is 4 times 3 is 12. So 12 minus 12 is 0. So 3 is here. So you will have that as 0. Oh, that's a straight line, okay? That's a straight line. Hold on. Yeah. So correct Ranang. No, it's not correct. It's not correct. It's not correct. It should be written as x. It should be written as x greater than equal to 5, less than or equal to 7. You cannot write it as facing each other. All right. Questions so far? You cannot write it that way. It has to be facing each other. Okay. It is um mm, no. It is possible, but your function of your yeah, x greater than or less than. If you wanted the in betweens, it's impossible to have such value. Then you will have to decide that x will be greater than 7. Now I feel cold. I'm just going to turn off the AC for a minute. I'm feeling cold right now. Okay? So, yeah, it should be in between. It cannot be it cannot be. Thank you for our 7 viewers tonight. Sorry, I'm a bit I'm a bit off. I'm a bit off. I'm having this kind of oh, okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. So, now we move on to range and domain. So when we talk about range and domain, right? When we talk about range and domain, what is range? What is domain of a function? What is range and what is domain? So the domain of a function is the set of possible x, okay? While your range is the set of possible y. So domain is the set of possible input, and your range is the possible output. That is domain and range. So if you are asked, what is the domain f of x equals x squared? What is the domain? Domain here will be all real numbers, right? Any number that you substitute here, you will get a possible value. So you can use any real numbers as an input. So in proper maths, we use this R. That means that X can be, or you can say X can be an element of your real number. So that is to tell you that the symbol implies that that is for all the possible value of x. So your range here, if you substitute this even with a negative number, your f of x will be greater than 0. That's your range. Because if I will substitute x with negative 5, I would still get a positive 25 as my range or my y value. So the y value on this graph, if you graph this, it will be um, towards the upper side of your y-axis. So that means that the value on your graph as an output is positive. Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. My bad. Okay. So if you are given, let's say another one, okay, domain and range. Let's say you're given f of x square root of x. So since it is a square root of x that is given, your domain here will only be x greater than or equal to 0. It cannot be any negative number because a negative number, there is no root of a negative number. It becomes imaginary. So that means that when you substitute the value of your x here, that will be anything greater than or equal to 0. Again, because you cannot input a negative number into this type of function. Hence, our range here will be x greater than equal to 0 as well. Because if you substitute it with square root of 1, you'll get 1. Square root of 2, you'll get 1.26, and so on and so forth. So that means that your output can only be positive. So that's it. All right. Now, let's try one more. Probably two more questions, and then that will be the end. So let's say f of x equals 2x and f of x equals 2 to the power of x. I'll do 1 over x. Okay. So if it is 2x here, you can have your domain as x uh, element of the real number. That means that your x can be any value of your real number. It can be negative, it can be positive, and your range will also be an x, an element. Oh, sorry, your function. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Your f of x will be any element of your real number as well, because as you substitute it, you will have all the numbers that you can get. Now, if you have your x 1 over 2, your domain here, all right, your domain here will be x element of real number except 0. Why is it not possible? Why 0 is not possible? For the reason that if you divide a number by 0, it is undefined. Hence, you cannot have your x as 0 because it's 1 over x. Now, your range here will be x will be an element of R except 0 as well. You cannot have a number that is a 0 as an answer. Okay, cool. Because the value on top is 1. So you cannot have a number that is um, a 0 as well. Questions so far? Para-pa-pam, para-pa-pa-pam. Any question? Thank you so much for our 5 viewers tonight. Do you have any question? Please feel free to type it in our chat box. We have just finished going through function, and I hope that you are able to understand that. Any question? Clarification? Let me know if you have any question. None. Ooh. All right, cool. Do we have time to play? Let me check. What game do you want to play? Blanca. What game? We had a test kanina, mom, about differentiation. Okay. And what happened? It was good. Thank you, Lord. Ah, that's good to hear. It's good to hear. Okay. Are we going to play? Do we have enough time to play? Or I'll just end my live. If there are no questions. Question, clarification. Mom, how many days ka ubo? Just today. Just today. Just today. Any question? I was sneezing unendingly today. Unendingly. Any question, any question, here I am. Thank you so much for our 6 viewers tonight. And I guess that will be the end of our discussion on functions, unless there are any other question pertaining to this topic that will be written or typed in our chat box. Otherwise, um, yes. Thank you so much for our 6 viewers tonight. Appreciate it. I guess we cannot play. Uh, I might be ending my live stream earlier. It's only like 15 minutes, 15 minutes more. Unless you have a question about yourself. What is your question? Don't be scared. Type it on the chat box. Oh, all right, ma'am. Yes, if there's no question, no question at all. Oh, man. Cool. Cool. Any question? The stream's bitrate is higher than the recommended. All right. What would happen if the bitrate is higher than the recommended? Any questions so far from our 6 viewers tonight? We just finished the discussion on function. And if there are no questions, then we will be ending our live stream a little bit early so that we can all rest for the night. Um, Maha Blanca. Um, cool. I guess that will be the end of our discussion for tonight. Just for those, for the sake of those that just came in, and we discuss function, and I hope that you are able to understand our topic on function. You can always repeat this video if you want, but I will be releasing a video about function this week. So yes, so I guess that will be uh that will be all for tonight, and I guess this will be our shortest live stream ever. Our shortest live stream ever. So thank you so much. Thank you. And I hope that you have learned something tonight about function. And as always, our free tutorial is every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. here in our YouTube channel. So if you would like to drop by, if you would like to drop by and check out, and ask something about, next time na lang, ma'am. Okay. And if you wanted to check out on our topics about maths and science, please do drop by our live stream every Tuesday, 7 p.m. here in our YouTube channel. And thank you so much. This is your teacher Maria. And as always, I would say, do live your life to the fullest, learn something new every day, and love one another as how our God loves us. See you next week, same channel, same time, and yours truly, Teacher Maria. See you next week. Good night. Bye bye. Good night.